Welcome to The Explainer. You know, there's this hidden logic that's completely reshaping the internet, literally right under our noses. We're talking about a huge shift from a web that's just a pile of documents to a web that actually understands. So let's just jump right in. The web has this colossal amount of information, right? An absolute universe of documents. But why is it so hard to find what you really mean? That's the core problem. Computers are great at seeing the words on a page, but they have a really hard time understanding what any of it actually means. You know, the web's biggest problem really comes down to this one single, powerful concept. It's this classic battle, right? Quantity versus quality, a mountain of data versus real, actual understanding. And all those confusing search results, all that disconnected info, it all boils down to one missing piece of the puzzle. And here it is. Hold on to this word meaning. This is it. This is the key to everything. The whole problem and the solution we're about to get into, it all revolves around this one idea, teaching the web to grasp not just the words we type, but what they actually mean. So, what is this field called? It's semantics. And in the tech world, it's all about enabling computers to understand the meaning and context of information. Think of it as the science of teaching machines to connect the dots, to understand the relationships between ideas, the real context behind your search, and what you're truly trying to find. So let's dig into what that actually looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at the old way of doing things. For a long time, search engines and databases, they all worked on a really simple principle, a deeply flawed one, it turns out. We're talking about traditional information retrieval systems, or SRIs. So what's the big flaw with these old systems? Well, they're basically just expert keyword matchers. They're looking for isolated words, like a librarian who only looks at the first word of a book title. They completely miss the connections between ideas. They can't figure out the unspoken context of your search. And that's why so often they just don't get you what you're really looking for. And this chart really spells it out, doesn't it? The difference is huge. We're going from a simple keyword-based matching game to something that's meaning-based. From just matching isolated words to actually understanding concepts. It's about seeing the bigger picture. This isn't just a small upgrade, folks. This is a total revolution. All right, so how do we actually teach the web to understand meaning? How is this new smarter web being built? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It really relies on a whole toolkit of powerful technologies all working together. So what's in this toolkit? You've got AI and neural networks. That's the raw brain power. Then there's natural language processing, or NLP, which is kind of like the ears, helping the machine figure out grammar and what you actually intend to say. And then you have things like semantic data markup, which are like labels and thesauruses and ontologies, which act like a super smart dictionary and relationship map. All of this together creates a framework for the AI to truly get it. Okay, so this all might sound a little abstract, a little computer science-y, but this has huge real-world implications, especially if you're someone who creates content online. This is where the rubber meets the road. So, let's talk about the crucial SEO connection. And for all you SEO analysts out there, does this chaos sound familiar? Because I bet it does. We're talking about the stuff you deal with day in, day out. I mean, let's be real. Most of the web is a semantic mess, right? You've got content just sitting in unstructured pages. Critical info is trapped inside files like PDFs. You've got projects with no defined taxonomies, no ontologies. Data is just scattered everywhere, across all these different databases, with zero relationships connecting them. For an SEO pro, this is the daily struggle, trying to bring order to that chaos for search engines that are starving for meaning. And this is why semantics is no longer just a nice to have. It is absolutely essential. To get found on the web today, your content can't just be there. It has to be understood. It needs structure. It needs clear relationships. It needs meaning that a machine can actually interpret. So where does this all lead? What's the ultimate vision for a semantic web? Well, if we follow this path all the way to the end, the big picture is, honestly, it's transformative. We're not just talking about a better search engine here. We're talking about building a fundamentally better, smarter web. The philosopher Pierre Levy had this amazing way of describing it. He called it a global hypercortex coordinated by a computational metalanguage. Now, that's a mouthful, but what does it mean? Think of it like a giant global brain, a web that doesn't just hold files, but one that actually thinks, all powered by a language that computers can universally understand. And that's really the endgame here. We are moving from this web of just disconnected data to a web of truly interconnected knowledge. We're taking that insane volume of messy, unstructured data and turning it into something coherent, something where information isn't just there, but it's genuinely semantically relevant. So, what does this all leave us with? It's this one big question. What are we going to create when the web can finally understand not just our words, but our intentions? This is about a future where technology finally catches up to the richness of human meaning. And what we decide to build with that power, well, that's going to be the next great chapter for all of us.